Hi, welcome to the Digital Yacht how-to video series. In today's video we're going to be looking at our proAIS software and how you can use it to fault find and diagnose an AIT1000 transponder. This video is also applicable to our older AIT250 transponder as well. It does assume that you have already got the proAIS software installed on your PC and that you've got the AIT1000 connected to the PC. So I'm just going to run the program now. Okay, so as proAIS powers up, you're going to have to enter in here the COM port number that the AIT1000 has been allocated. On my PC that's COM port 8, but it'll probably be different on your PC. If you're not sure what that COM port number is, if you go to the device manager in Windows and then look in the ports COM and LPT section, and you'll find the COM port number that the AIT1000 has been allocated. Okay, so I'm going to connect now to the AIT1000. As you connect, you'll see the little clear plastic USB connector that comes from the AIT1000 will flash the green and red LED to indicate that it's two-way communication, and you'll get the data that was already installed. All the static data that's installed in the AIT1000 will appear on the proAIS software on the configuration page. So I'm going to go straight to the diagnostics page, and you'll note that we've already transmitted a position. There's been a transmission there, and this is basically a perfect page showing you exactly what a good working AIT1000 should show on this page. You've got the 4 green ticks to indicate that everything's working correctly, and the green power LED again indicates that everything's a-okay. We're receiving, we've received just over 80 targets on both of the 2 channels, so we know the receiver's working well. We've got down here a supply voltage, 13 volts, good strong supply voltage, and the internal voltages are both being generated correctly. The receiver signal strength indicator, RSSI, that is a very good value. Over 100 is a good signal for reception. Anything over 50 to 60 is considered good in the RSSI section. Right, the TX forward and TX reverse power, these are related to the transmissions, and these only update when it transmits, but we're getting a good forward power. Anything over about 140, 150 is good in the forward power. It means that's an indication of the amount of power that is being transmitted to the antenna. Now, in a perfect situation, if you've got a perfectly matched antenna, this TX reverse power should be 0. Invariably though, that's never the case, and anything under about 40 or 50 is good, so on the reverse power. Basically, if we were now to disconnect the VHF antenna, which I'm just going to do that now, the next time that this unit transmits, you will find that it will get an error, and the TX reverse power will shoot up, because instead of all the power going out to the antenna and then being transmitted, it's all being reflected straight back into the transponder, which is not a good situation, and to be honest I'm not going to leave it disconnected for too long. But we'll just wait for that to come through, and immediately that happens you'll get a transmitter failure come up there. So just wait for that to happen. I'll just show you quickly the GPS status while we're waiting for that to occur. Here you've got bar graphs showing all the strengths of all the different satellites that are being tracked. The red satellites are the WAAS or EGNOS satellites. These are the WAAS is Wide Area Augmentation System, and this gives you a good differential GPS position fix. You can get accuracies down to 1 to 3 meters when WAAS is when a WAAS satellite is being used to track. So that's a good indicator there of good GPS performance. I'm just going to go back to the diagnostics page now. Hopefully the unit will transmit in a minute. Basically, when we're stationary, as I am at the moment, it only transmits about every 3 minutes, so it takes, oh there we go, it's just happened there. As you can see, the red lights come on straight away, and it's reported that there's a transmitter fault, VSWR fault, and you can see the reverse power there has jumped straight up to 150, almost as much as the forward power, and that is a typical fault symptoms of a disconnected VHF antenna or a problem with the VHF antenna itself. So I'm just going to connect that back up. Now, if the other thing that can happen with the VHF antenna is a short across the inner and outer coax connections, and what that will do is it will make the forward power go down to zero, basically, or very low. So if you're getting a short or a partial short, and you should see a very low forward power. Basically, with the forward and reverse power, forward power as a rule of thumb, anything over 140, 150 is good, and the reverse power, anything below about 40 or 50 is good. So you want the smaller the better on reverse, and the larger the better on the forward. Okay, so that's typical VHF antenna issues, and the next time it tries to transmit, everything will go back to greens again. But while we're waiting for that to happen, I'm going to go to the GPS status page again, because the GPS antenna connection is another potential area where you can get installation problems. And I'm just going to unscrew the GPS antenna now, and you'll see that as soon as I disconnect the antenna, the bar graphs will just completely disappear. So if you get no bar graphs on your on this diagnostic screen, on the GPS status screen, what you want to do is check the GPS connections, and don't forget that there is a screw connection at the AIT1000 end, but there's also an FME connector inside the actual GPS mushroom. So do check that that is tight, because if that's only partially screwed in, that will cause poor GPS reception. If you're in any doubts of the GPS antenna connections, another good way to do it is to go to the GPS mushroom end, the antenna, unscrew the FME connector, and then do a voltage check between the inner and outer coax connections, because what happens is the AIT1000 is providing a 5-volt DC voltage down the antenna connection to power the preamp that's inside the GPS mushroom. So measuring the 5 volts across the inner and outer proves that the GPS antenna cable is good and that the AIT1000 is generating that 5 volts. So that's a good tip. A lot of the things that I'm covering in this video, by the way, are also shown in tech note number 11 on our website, so I would definitely recommend looking at that tech note in conjunction with this video. Okay, so I'm going to go back to the diagnostics page. There we go. Everything is okay there. It does show that there is a transmitter fault. This is purely just so that people can see that if anything has happened whilst the unit is on. If we were to power the unit down now and power it back up, that transmitter fault would disappear. Okay, so that's VHF and GPS antenna connections. The only other common installation problem that we have is on the supply voltage. So I'm just going to disconnect now from here. Now, I'm now going to turn off my AIT1000. So basically I'm recreating now a complete power failure, and that could be caused by maybe a fuse in the fuse panel blowing, or the circuit breaker tripping out, or maybe one of the power leads to the AIT1000 becoming disconnected. So I'm going to try and connect now. Now proAIS is now trying to communicate with the AIT1000. The little red LED and the USB connectors flashing away, but there's no green LED, which indicates data back from the AIT1000. And in fact, it comes up with an error saying no unit connected or detected on COM8. So that's what you'll see if it's a complete power failure on the AIT1000. So I'm just going to clear that. I'm now going to turn the AIT1000 back on. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop the voltage right down. So I'm going to simulate a low voltage situation. Now I will be able to connect. So if you're getting a big voltage drop in the system, either because of maybe corrosion on one of the power leads, or a poor connection somewhere in the system, then you will see what's called a voltage drop in the system, where you're not getting the full battery voltage to the AIT1000. What you can do is you can go to the diagnostics page, and there you go, you can see here supply voltage 10.22 volts. That's very low. When it gets down below about 10.6 volts, the TX timeout LED will light up and the red error light will light up, and that will trigger an alarm 12 volt power supply fault. Now the unit doesn't stop working, it's still receiving here, but it will not work to its best of its best performance when you're getting a low voltage like this. Now if I drop it down even further, you will see that it will drop out. So again, it keeps working. I'm going to bring it down below 9 volts now, and you'll get there we go, below 9 volts. Give it a couple of seconds and it should say, right, there we go, disabled due to active alarm condition. So it's actually disabled its own transmitter because it knows that it can't transmit correctly if the voltage is down below 9 volts. However, the good news is if you bring the voltage back up, everything should start to work again. All the alarms disappear, and when it transmits, everything will go to green. So that's typical of low voltage, either because of maybe the ship's battery's been discharged too far, or if there's a poor connection somewhere in the system. So that's basically the 4 most common installation problems that you'll see. So that's either GPS antenna problems, VHF antenna problems, complete power failure, or low battery voltage. I hope you've found these fault finding guides useful, and thank you very much for watching. Goodbye.